Reverend Jieun.
Morning.
Morning.
It's so wonderful that we are sitting here in this beautiful meditation hall on Sunday morning. So whenever I sit in the meditation service or in a retreat program, I feel like we are all travelers on our spiritual journey. Or we are like hikers who are walking up toward the peak. On the peak of a mountain, we can see the world and ourselves with more clarity. When you first begin in our spiritual journey, we have enthusiasm and passion. Do you, or did you? Just so grateful that we've met this path, right? And as you mature in our spiritual journey, we encounter different mental obstacles. They may get stuck in our progress. Sometimes we are aware of this, and sometimes we may not. So today I'm going to talk about the 4 hindrances according to Won Buddhism. They are translated as the 4 articles to abandon in our scripture. So understanding the 4 hindrances will help us to work with them with more clarity and more skill when they arise in our mind. The first hindrance is disbelief. When disbelief fills the mind, you cannot decide. Therefore, you cannot take the necessary action to accomplish anything. This is different from the questioning mind. This is skeptical doubt and indecisiveness. You constantly ask, can I do this? Or is this the right path? Is this the best path? So you are just lost in thoughts and not really doing anything. So this can happen when you think too much. The 4 hindrances not only disrupt your spiritual practice, they can affect anything you want to accomplish. For example, I found that indecisiveness or disbelief is the biggest obstacle that hinders progress in my English skill. I like to watch YouTube videos about how to study English effectively. There are so many awesome techniques and references for English study. Do you know that? Some people say that you must choose a paragraph from the New York Times and memorize it every day. That's the most powerful and effective way to improve your English. Other people say that watching a TV show repeatedly is the most effective way. The problem is, to me, they all sound wonderful. Because the people who introduce their methods, their English is wonderful. So I try some of them, but soon I find that it does not work wonder, and I must find another way. So ever since I came to the United States, my English study has never been steady. So I keep an English study notebook where I write down the new English expressions that I learned a day. The last day I opened the notebook was June 16th. It was 3 months ago. So it is a shame that I still do not have my own English study routine. So if you want to improve any kind of skill, whether it's a musical instrument or any kind of technique or skill, you need to have a routine to keep practicing it. But the thought of, this one does not work great, there might be a better method than this one, And if I find the better one, my English skill will improve more easily and faster. This kind of thought hinders me from settling down and prevents me from studying steadily, which is the most essential thing when you want to learn a foreign language. To steady study routinely is the most important factor. And a similar thing can happen in spiritual practice. You can just watch or listen to some interesting Dharma talks. You may find some good teachers, but unless you actually find a better one for you and practice, there's no improvement. So you must actually practice and not just shopping around. There are many paths to the peak. And to move on to the peak of a mountain, you first choose a good path and then walk on it. So if you have belief in that path, and keep walking with sincerity and humility, this will lead you to the peak. So I'd like to mention that this belief can arise towards our own selves too. If you do not believe in your own innate power to bring about the change, you can lose the fundamental motivation to continue spiritual practice. For me, after years of practice in Won Buddhism, it has become more a matter of forgetfulness than understanding. I believe that my mind is originally free from disturbance, delusion, and wrongdoings. When I feel this more clearly, usually on the meditation cushion, it's a wonderful feeling. I feel alive, or positive, more resilient, if I have to describe it verbally. It's wonderful, but the problem is I forget that. I just maybe glimpsed it rather than sustaining its clarity. So what's the antidote to disbelief in my own Buddha nature? It is to remind myself of my innate Buddha nature every day, not to forget it during the day. Meditation practice helps me to do this. So belief and practice, they advance together in this way. In just a short affirmation meditation in the morning, it helps a lot. The second hindrance is greed or desire. So everyone has things we like or want. These things give us comfort and pleasant sensations. It might be someone, something, some work, or some specific activity. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the pleasant things in life. The problem happens when appreciation turns to greed. Our founding teacher, Sotaesan, defines greed as excessive clinging to something beyond any normal degree. So it's a matter of degree. So let me tell you a story. One of the disciples of the founding master liked to read the newspaper so much that the minute he found the newspaper had been delivered, then he would stop doing the work at hand to read it. Even when there was something urgent to do, he would at least look at the headlines before resuming his work with his mind at ease. Does this sound familiar? these days it can be YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. And one day the founding master admonished him, seeing how you get lost in something as trivial as newspaper reading, I worry that you may do the same with other matters as well. Through YouTube videos, I learned so many valuable things. But if I continue watching YouTube videos, for example, when I have been preparing a Dharma talk, then it becomes clinging to the videos. This is the meaning of greed or desire that Master Sotaesan defines. So material things do not have any problem in and of themselves. It is when we become obsessed and dependent on them. This is the game of who is the master. When we fail to control the greedy mind, it brings a lot of harm to ourselves and to others. So one Buddhism has several precepts. In one Buddhism, we have 30 precepts, and some of them are related to greed or desire. Do not steal. Do not consume intoxicants. Do not gamble or play idle game. Do not embezzle public funds. Do not be obsessed by the pursuit of gold, silver, and precious gems. Do not be ostentatious in wearing clothes, fashion, etc. Mr. Sotaesan said to the disciple, I am warning you about such a trivial matter in order to give you a realistic picture of how your spirit becomes influenced. You should not be drawn in by things that you either like or hate, but should always follow the right path, thereby controlling the myriad sensory conditions rather than being controlled by them. Then you will preserve forever your true and noble original nature. This is why greed is one of the 4 hindrances. In 2019, I joined Reverend Jinja's Camino walk for the last few days. I just joined the last few days, and she went through the whole path. The destination was the Cathedral of Camino de Compostela. Have you heard about it? It's the whole path. It takes usually 40 days or so. And we walked all day long. I remember one day we walked almost 35 kilometers, 22 miles. So stopping at the towns along the way, we met people and enjoyed some cafe au lait or other snacks. The pastries was so sweet and delicious during the long journey. But we knew that we must get up again and walk in the rain. It rained most of the days because we want to arrive at the destination. So if you have set a goal, we need to overcome the smaller desires that distract us from our goal. So I pray that people in the world, including myself, cultivate the power to use material civilization skillfully and wisely to make our life more abundant and the world more peaceful. The 3rd hindrance is laziness or sloth. This is the opposite of greed. When laziness overcomes the wakeful mind, we have little desire to move or act as needed. So laziness makes our minds numb and lethargic. This state of mind can arise due to numerous causes. When there is dullness or lack of vitality in your mind, if you go deeper, you may find some causes underneath, such as some kind of fear or trauma or something else. But do not spend too much time trying to find the reason of your laziness. You know what? The best antidote for laziness is, guess what? What do you think is the best antidote for laziness? Action. Yeah, just get up. Get up and open the window and stretch and clean your room. There's no secret. So you don't become lazy or lethargic because you are a lazy person. It's just that you have not found the way out yet. So I hope you find your own tips to overcome laziness when it arises in your mind. So for me, jogging 2 miles, just 2 miles, makes my mind very alert. So make sure you have had a good night's sleep. The first hindrance is ignorance. Ignorance means that which we do not know well. So not knowing what is right from what is wrong. In other words, we do not understand clearly what's going to bring benefit and what's going to bring harm in the long run. We just act as we please. This is like hiking without realizing you are deviating from the path. You think you are going to the ridge, you're going to reach the peak, but you are going awry. When ignorance misleads the mind, it's difficult to realize because we are ignorant. So you keep going around and around until you start to wonder, what's wrong? So ignorance arises in so many different forms. Just sometimes it's hard to identify ignorance is there. So one of the most typical forms of ignorance is believing that we are our thoughts and emotions and act accordingly. So much of our stress and anxiety comes from worry about the future and thoughts about the past. So if we directly identify those thoughts and worries with our own self, then we cannot see straight. So ignorance is what makes us not be able to see what is true. So when deluded thoughts arise, we need to realize that they are only deluded thoughts and they have nothing to do with the truth, so which remains in the present moment. The antidote for ignorance is questioning. When you are taking an action, ask yourself, does this serve for me? Does it serve for me? So does it make sense? Really? Then you may find that what you feel like true is only your monkey mind, jumping here and there. You don't have to get the answer to the questions right away. The questioning mind itself is the key to getting out of ignorance. So once you realize that what makes you suffer is only your mind, then the next time you will be free of your mind a little faster. So today I talked about the 4 hindrances to our spiritual practice. When you feel that your mind is stuck and you are lost, just check in on your mind and see if you have any of these hindrances. Find your way to work with and refresh your mind. These hindrances are called the 4 hindrances because they are the most common obstacles that most practitioners encounter. So don't be frustrated if you feel lost and don't feel joy in your practice, don't feel frustrated by that. So look into your mind and see if you have any of these 4 hindrances. Work with it, then you will be able to enjoy hiking again. So I hope our practice deepens and enjoy this beautiful season, and be sure to take time to discover all the joy in your spiritual journey. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you always for your